The hospital room was silent except for the steady beeping of the machines next to me. My body felt heavy, every limb weighed down by exhaustion and pain. I could still feel the dull ache in my abdomen, a cruel reminder that I had just barely made it through surgery. The world around me was hazy, my mind struggling to process anything beyond the stereo walls and the overwhelming sense of emptiness pressing down on my chest. I slowly turned my head, reaching for my phone with weak fingers. My heart pounded as I unlocked the screen, my vision blurring for a moment before the familiar home screen came into focus. There had to be something, a message, a missed call, a voicemail, something to show that they cared. But there was nothing. No concerned texts from my mother, no missed calls from my father, not even a single check-in. I swallowed hard, my throat dry and raw. Maybe they had been busy. Maybe they were waiting for me to wake up before reaching out. Maybe. A notification popped up on my screen. A new post. My breath caught as I tapped on it, my stomach twisting as the image loaded. There they were, my parents, laughing, smiling, standing in the middle of a massive concert arena, surrounded by flashing lights and a sea of cheering fans. My mother held up a drink, her caption beneath the photo casual, carefree. Much needed night out. Loving life. The world around me blurred. I scrolled down, fingers shaking, each new post cutting deeper. Another picture. Another laugh. Another reminder of where their priorities really were. They were celebrating. While I was here, struggling to breathe, they were out having fun. While I had spent the last few hours drifting in and out of consciousness, unsure if I would even wake up again, they had been dancing, drinking, partying. They had known I was here. They had known I needed them. And they had chosen not to care. A sharp pain spread through my chest, but this time it had nothing to do with the surgery. I stared at the screen, the smiling faces of the people who had abandoned me staring right back. The realization settled in, cold and undeniable. I was fighting for my life, and they were too busy having fun to even care. I should have seen this coming. Looking back, the signs had always been there, scattered throughout my life like puzzle pieces I had never put together. I had spent years making excuses for them, convincing myself that their neglect was not intentional, that maybe I was overthinking things, that maybe this time would be different. But it never was. I had always been the second choice, the afterthought, the one who was expected to understand, to be okay with less, to be grateful for whatever scraps of attention I got. I could not remember a time when I had not been playing the background role in my own family. My sister, Lauren, had always been the priority, the golden child, the one who got what she wanted, no matter the cost. And my parents? They made sure of it. I had learned the hard way that my needs would always come second to their convenience. I still remember the time I had gotten so sick that I could barely move. I had a fever so high that my entire body felt like it was on fire. I had begged them not to leave, to stay home, just this once. We already booked the trip, sweetheart. You will be fine. And just like that, they were gone, off to their beach vacation while I lay in bed, feverish and alone. A neighbor checked in once or twice. That was it. They had come back tanned, happy, refreshed. My mother had hugged me and said, "See, you survived." I remember sitting there, staring at her, realizing for the first time that my survival had never been her concern. Then there was my school play. I had worked for months on my role, staying late at rehearsals, practicing every line. wanting nothing more than for my parents to see me on stage. They had promised to come. That afternoon, I had sat in the front row of the auditorium, my heart pounding, waiting to see them walk in. They never did. They had forgotten. They had been at a spa weekend instead. I had cried in the bathroom stall, wiping my face furiously before going on stage, forcing myself to smile as if it did not matter. That had been the first time I learned how to pretend that I was fine. Lauren always got the big parties, the expensive gifts, the over-the-top celebrations that were planned for weeks in advance. Me? We will do something small for you next weekend, okay? Oh, we ran out of time to get your present, but we will pick something up later. We did not think you would mind. There was always an excuse, always a reason why I was supposed to understand, always a lesson in disappointment. I had told myself that it was okay, that I was the strong one, the mature one, that maybe if I just kept working harder, being better, they would see me. But this was not a missed birthday. This was not a forgotten event. This was life and death. And they had made their choice. They had known where I was. They had known what I was going through. And still, they had left me behind. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms as a new realization hit me, one that felt heavier than anything before. I had ignored the warning signs for years. But now, I could not ignore the truth anymore. I stared at my phone, my fingers hovering over the call button. My chest felt tight, my throat dry. I had tried to tell myself that maybe, just maybe, there was a reason for their silence. Maybe they had not seen my messages. Maybe they had not realized how bad things were. I wanted to believe that. So I called. The phone rang. Once, twice, 4 times, straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I swallowed hard, blinking against the tears that burned the back of my eyes. They had to pick up. They had to. I sent a text, my fingers shaking as I typed. Mom, Dad, I just had surgery. I am in the hospital. Where are you? Read. No reply. I tried again. Please call me. I need you. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. Still nothing. The reality of it was setting in, a slow, creeping numbness that spread through my entire body. I was not a priority. I had never been. And then, finally, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. I inhaled sharply, my hands tightening around the device as I opened it. We had plans. Sweetheart, you are fine now, right? I blinked. That was it. That was all she had to say. I read the words again, as if I had misinterpreted them, as if there was something I had missed. I had almost died, and their biggest concern was that I was fine now, because that meant they did not have to be inconvenienced. My stomach twisted, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. Before I could even process it, another notification popped up. A video, a social media clip shared by one of their friends. I hesitated before clicking on it, my gut telling me that I was not ready for whatever I was about to see. But I watched anyway. The screen filled with flashing lights, music blaring in the background. The camera panned over a large crowd, drinks in the air, laughter spilling from smiling faces. And then I saw her. My mother, front and center, drink in hand, smiling like nothing else in the world mattered. The camera got closer, and suddenly, I heard her voice clear as day. We needed a break. She always overreacts anyway. The laughter that followed was louder than the music. I felt something inside me snap. It was like the last piece of the puzzle had fallen into place. Every ignored call, every dismissed concern, every time I had begged for attention, for love, for basic decency. This was who they really were. I was done making excuses for them. This time, they were going to face the consequences. The moment I ended the video, I knew what I had to do. There was no hesitation, no second-guessing, no tiny voice in my head telling me to give them another chance. They had made their choice the second they decided that a concert was more important than their own daughter. They had sealed their fate the moment my mother had laughed about me, mocked me, acted as if my pain was nothing more than an inconvenience. So I did what they had always done to me. I cut them off. I started with my phone. My fingers moved fast, fueled by a mix of anger and clarity. Block. Their numbers, gone. Their names, erased from my contacts like they had never existed. Then, I went to social media. Block. No more fake comments on my posts. No more pretending that they cared. No more scrolling through their perfectly curated pictures while I sat in the shadows, waiting for them to remember me. For the first time, they would know what it felt like to be ignored. And it felt good. At first, I waited for the fallout, for the blow-up, for the angry texts, the sudden phone calls, the guilt-tripping messages about how family should not do this to each other. But the silence stretched on. One day passed, then another, then an entire week. And the worst part, they did not even notice. No calls, no messages, no concern. They were too busy living their lives, too caught up in their world where I had never been a real priority. That hurt more than I wanted to admit. Even after everything, some small part of me had still wanted them to realize what they had done. But they did not. They never would. So I focused on myself. For the first time in years, I put myself first. I let myself rest. My body was still weak from surgery. My mind still exhausted from years of emotional damage. But I let myself heal. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I stopped waiting for people who had never waited for me. I took slow walks outside, feeling the fresh air for the first time in what felt like forever. I read books, watched movies, let myself exist without their weight crushing me. And I realized something. I was lighter without them. For the first time in my life, I was free. But they were about to realize what losing me really meant. It took 12 days for them to notice. 12 days of complete silence. 12 days where they did not bother to check in, did not question why I had stopped responding, did not even seem to care that I had disappeared. I had spent years waiting for them, waiting for attention, waiting for love, waiting for them to make me feel like I mattered. But the moment I stopped waiting, I realized something. They had never been there for me. And without me, their lives did not change at all. At least, not at first. The first call came late at night, my phone vibrating on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen, already knowing who it was before I saw the name. Mom. Blocked. Less than a minute later, another call. Dad. Blocked. Then came the texts. Are you okay? Why are you not answering? This is not funny. Call us back. Now. I turned my phone over and went to sleep. I had spent enough nights crying over them. I was done. By morning, the fake concern had vanished. The next message from my mother was different. We are still your parents. You cannot just cut us off like this. Ah, there it was. The control slipping through their fingers. They did not care why I had stopped responding. They cared that I had taken back the power they thought they would always have over me. I sat there for a moment, staring at the message, waiting to feel guilt. But I felt nothing. Because where were they when I had been lying in a hospital bed, struggling just to stay conscious? Where were they when I had begged them to pick up the phone, just once, to tell me they cared? I typed out a response, my fingers steady. You made your choice. Now live with it. And then, I muted the conversation. But they did not let it go. The next day, my voicemail was full. My father, trying to sound calm, trying to reason with me. Look, we understand that you are upset. But this is extreme. We are family. You do not just ignore family over a little disagreement. A little disagreement. I laughed, out loud. Then my mother. This is ridiculous. You are acting like a child. You have always been dramatic. But this is too much. You need to grow up and stop punishing us. Punishing them? The sheer audacity. They had chosen a concert over me. They had ignored me when I needed them most. They had laughed, partied, and lived their best lives while I had been alone in a hospital, wondering if I would wake up the next day. And somehow, they were the victims now. I deleted the voicemail without listening to the rest. Then, the real panic set in. The money problem. I had been paying attention. My parents were not exactly responsible with finances. They had always relied on me. Whether it was small loans they promised to pay back, but never did, or helping out with bills when things got tight. I had spent years bailing them out, but not anymore. And they felt it. The next message from my mother was not angry anymore. It was desperate. We need to talk. Call me back. It is important. I ignored it. A few hours later, another text. Violet, we are in a tough spot. We need your help with something. You know we would do the same for you. I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting, not with guilt, but with absolute disbelief. They had never helped me. Not when I was sick. Not when I needed support. Not when I was fighting for my life. But now that they needed something, now I mattered. The irony was almost laughable. I let the message sit there, unanswered, letting them feel the weight of the same silence they had given me. The final call came that night. I picked up, not to help them, not to give them what they wanted, but to finally, let them hear the words they never expected. You were never there when I needed you. Now you need me, and I am not going to be your safety net anymore. Silence. Then my mother's voice, sharp with disbelief. You cannot mean that. I do. And then I ended the call. For the first time in my life, I was not theirs to use anymore. I knew they would come. After days of ignored calls, unread messages, and their growing desperation, it was only a matter of time. They had never been the type to take responsibility for anything. They always needed control. And the moment they realized they no longer had it, they did the only thing they could think of. They showed up. The pounding on my door started early in the morning. Not a polite knock. Demanding. Impatient. The kind of knock that said, "We know you are in there. Open up." I did not rush. For once, I was not the one scrambling to please them. I took my time, set my coffee down, and walked to the door, breathing in deeply before unlocking it. And there they were. My mother, arms crossed, lips pressed together in a tight smile that did not reach her eyes. The same fake concern she always wore when she wanted something. My father, standing slightly behind her, looking uncomfortable, as if he wanted to be anywhere but here. I leaned against the door frame. You drove all the way here. My mother let out a dramatic sigh. Well, what choice did we have? You would not answer our calls. We have been worried sick. Worried. I almost laughed. I could have pointed out how they had not been worried when I was alone in a hospital bed. How they had gone days without caring whether I was okay. How they had not even noticed when I had stopped reaching out to them. But I said nothing. I just waited. And right on cue, my mother's expression shifted. "This little tantrum of yours has gone on long enough," she said, stepping forward as if she could just push her way back into my life. "You cannot just ignore us, Violet. We are still your parents." There it was, the entitlement, the control slipping through their fingers. I stared at her, unimpressed. Funny, I thought parents were supposed to care about their children. My mother's eyes narrowed. "Do not start that again." We explained. "No, you made excuses." I cut in, my voice sharp, unwavering. I stepped aside, gesturing toward my apartment. "Come in." For a second, they hesitated. I had never invited them in like this before. Not like I was in control. Not like I was the one calling the shots. But they went inside. I let them sit on the couch, watching as they glanced around like strangers. They had never bothered to visit before. Never checked in. Never made an effort to be a part of my life, unless it benefited them. Now suddenly, they wanted to be here. "You have always been so sensitive," my mother started, shaking her head. "We did not think you would take it this far." I sat across from them, arms crossed. "You did not think about me at all." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, stop. You were fine. We saw your messages after the fact. You made it through the surgery. What did you expect us to do? Drop everything?" I let her words sit there, the sheer cruelty of them filling the silence between us. "Yes," I said finally. "That is exactly what I expected." For the first time, my father spoke. "Look, sweetheart, we are not perfect, but we love you, and we do not want this tension between us." Love. They loved me? I leaned forward, staring at them both, daring them to lie to my face. "You love me?" I repeated, voice cold. "Because love is showing up. Love is being there when your child needs you. Love is not going to a concert while your daughter is in a hospital fighting for her life." My father sighed, rubbing his temples. "It is not that simple." "It is exactly that simple," I said. "You chose not to be there. And now, you are only here because you realized that I am done cleaning up your messes." My mother sat up straighter, her expression shifting. She was losing control, and she knew it. "We raised you. We sacrificed for you. And this is how you treat us," she snapped. There it was, the guilt trip, the rewriting of history, the manipulation. But this time, it was not going to work. I tilted my head. "Tell me, Mom, what exactly did you sacrifice?" She opened her mouth, then closed it, because she had nothing. "I did not cut you off because I am dramatic," I continued, my voice calm but firm. "I cut you off because I finally understood something." I looked them both in the eyes, letting every word sink in. "You made your choice. Now live with it." Silence. For the first time in my life, they had nothing to say. I stood up, walking to the door, holding it open. "Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Dad." They hesitated for just a second, as if waiting for me to change my mind. But I did not, and eventually, they walked out. This time, I did not watch them go. I just closed the door. The calls did not stop. Even after I shut the door, even after I had made it clear that I was done, they still tried. At first, it was anger. Voicemails filled with frustration, accusations, demands that I stop acting childish and come to my senses. Then came the guilt trips, the carefully crafted words meant to make me feel like the villain. You are still our daughter. You cannot just erase family. You will regret this one day. But I did not regret a thing. I ignored every single message. And then, the real fallout began. It started with a call from my aunt. I almost let it go to voicemail like all the others, but curiosity got the better of me. When I picked up, her voice was tense, hesitant. Violet, I do not want to get in the middle of anything, but have you heard about your parents? My stomach twisted, but I forced my voice to stay neutral. No, and I do not care to. A heavy pause. Then she sighed. They're struggling, Violet. Financially. Badly. I said nothing. I did not ask for details, but she kept talking anyway. I guess they were relying on you more than they admitted. The bills are piling up. Their credit cards are maxed. And with everything going on, well, people have started distancing themselves. I felt nothing. No shock. No sympathy. No guilt. For years, I had been the one holding everything together, the one keeping them afloat, while they used me as a backup plan whenever things got tough. Now, without me, they were drowning. I hung up the phone, my hands steady. I thought that would be the end of it, that they would take the hint and finally leave me alone. But I underestimated just how desperate they could get. That night, the texts started again, but this time, they were not demanding. They were pleading. Violet, please call us. We need to talk. We are in a bad situation. We just need a little help. We know you are upset, but we are family. Please, sweetheart. It was almost funny. The same people who had ignored me when I was fighting for my life were now begging for my help when they needed something. The same people who had called me dramatic, selfish, ungrateful were now the ones asking me for favors. I stared at the screen, watching the messages come in. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. I let it ring. Again. And again. And again. I never picked up. They had made their choice. Now, they were living with it. And I was finally living for myself. For the first time in forever, my life felt light. No more bending over backward for people who never appreciated it. No more carrying their burdens. No more being the person they could call only when it suited them. I sat down with my laptop, my heart racing, not with anxiety, but with excitement. I had been saving for years, always setting money aside for a trip I had dreamed of, but never taken. I had always put it off, telling myself that there would be time later, that I had other responsibilities, that they needed me. Not anymore. I pulled up the website, my fingers hovering over the destination list. Italy. That had always been the dream. Sun-soaked streets, endless cafes, history at every turn. And this time, it was not just a dream. It was my reality. I booked the flight, feeling something inside me shift, something powerful, something freeing. I was fighting for my life, and they were partying. So I let them party, while I walked away forever.